What's up, y'all? It's your boy Dante back again with another episode 4 of the High and Outside podcast. We had to take a week off last week. It was an NFL draft, a lot of great content from the network. Make sure you head over to our YouTube and check that out. Our boy Sid is off this week. Got a little early PTO this season. He's out being a star tender for the Kentucky Derby. So if you out there, make sure you go holler at our boy. But we are back. As usual, you can follow me at October's on Tay on Twitter. Make sure you follow the Barber's Chair at Barber's Chair Co. on Twitter and Instagram. Subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/Barber's Chair Network. We got 4 different tiers, 4 very affordable tiers for you to choose from. You can subscribe and come show some love with us. Of course, you can get all of your Barber's Chair merch at bcnetshop.com. And for all other things Barber's Chair Net, every podcast, every editorial, everything we got, make sure you check out the bcnet.com. Like I said, me, I'm going to bring in my amazing crew today. Both of them down there in Dallas holding it down. Let's start it out. My girl, Courtney. Courtney, how you feeling right now? How the stars treating you?
Things are really looking up. We have the chance to win a series tomorrow. So I'm really hoping that we do. I would not like to see it go to 7. Let's wrap it up in 6 and move on to the next round.
I'm not gonna lie, I actually miss being excited about the NHL playoffs. I think they have like the most underrated playoff experience, especially for casual fans, because you can just fall right into an NHL playoff game. Like I'll throw, especially now because YouTube TV, they'll connect them with the basketball games. I'll just throw the 4 screen on. I don't know what the hell is going on. The Blackhawks are trash, so I have no clue what's going on, but it's always 2 exciting NHL games on. Like I was texting you about the goal where bro caught it with his stick.
Yeah.
He's crazy. So
and also the guy. Also, I see what goal you were talking about. I know what I asked you. I thought it was a different goal. I went back and I was like, oh, he was talking about the goal. The guy is 40 doing that, by the way.
See,
40 years old.
Another thing, before we go to Malik, because I have to say this. I think another thing that's underrated about hockey, when we talk about the most difficult sports to play, that is an extremely. You have to, bro. First of all of them motherfuckers are big. That's what people don't talk about. Hockey players are not small people, and they're out there on skates, bro, hitting that puck 120 miles an hour, catching it out of the air, doing all type of incredible shit. And like you said, the longevity. A lot of them play till they're in their 40s, and it's really an Iron Man sport. So, like, I have a lot of respect for hockey players, and like the NHL playoffs, they never let down. Malik, my boy, how you been?
What's up, man? I've been good out here. Sid, or Courtney, every series in hockey goes 7 games. So
okay, well,
I love to see the city celebrate tomorrow too.
Let's not manifest that. However, I will say, everyone was like, oh, well, the Dallas Stars are 0-8 now, 0-8 after this past game 1. They're 0-8 in game 1s. You know what? They're 7-0 in game 7s. So. Let's keep that momentum going if it does go that far, which again, I'm really hoping it doesn't. I need my boys to get some rest so we can get ready for this next series.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No.
Too. Yeah, I've been good, man. It was a off weekend for me. I got to enjoy the Kendrick Lamar concert out here in Dallas or Arlington this weekend. So crazy crowd, probably the best concert experience I've probably ever been to. So it was a good time.
Oh, no, that's dope, bro. I'm not going to lie. I'm still, this is a benefit of where I work. I'm still waiting on getting my ticket because I don't know what city I want to go see it in. I try to do this thing now where I don't go to concerts in Atlanta because I've been to every concert venue in Atlanta. And so, now, trying to space it out, see where I can go. We may try to get into SoFi. I think that's going to be tough, though. But, nah, bro, let's get into it. Like I said, we took last week off. I hope I know how my team did.
Yeah.
Courtney, how did the draft go for the Saints?
Well, we got a new quarterback, I guess.
Did you like that move?
I mean, okay, no, but hear me out. I'm trying to talk myself into it. Just because he has played college football for so long, I'm hoping that he can kind of capture lightning in a bottle like Bo Nix did. In again, I know he doesn't have Sean Payton, but I'm still going to be optimistic because it can really only get better when Derek Carr is your QB1. Can you really get worse? Can you?
Yeah, so what's the thing with Carr? Is he out for the year? Is he done?
We don't know yet. And he just was on stage at a church in Vegas talking about how You hear people, talking more about your injuries, and they know more about your injuries than you do. And I'm like, oh, goodness gracious, dude. Man's clearly upset that they brought in a new quarterback and drafted a new quarterback. That seat is getting a lot warmer than it has been in recent times.
Yeah, that's one guy who and I get in trouble a lot when I say this, but I feel like you have a lot of mid and mediocre athletes who hide behind Jesus. And I think we could write a book on that. He's one of them. They do this a lot. And it's unfortunate because at the end of the day, you got people on both sides praying to the same God. So the idea that this is going to save, we don't have to go in depth about that. But yeah, that's pretty ridiculous. Shout out to my Bears, adding more weapons on offense. I think it's going to be a spectacular year. We spent the arm and the leg on the O-line, so it should be something good. But now let's get into baseball. Our first topic of the day. It happened last week. I had the privilege of being, at Truist when, some questions were asked, right after it happened. Jared Kalenic, we all know Braves right fielder, guy who plays with his hair on fire, as his manager Brian Snitker likes to say. But it is true. That's Jared. That's him. 100. He's 100% every day. He did what we see a lot around the league. He hit a ball. He thought it was out. He admired it for a minute. Did his little home run trot. Turns out it was in the park. He tried to stretch it to a double, got thrown out. Now, we see this, like I said, damn near once a day from some game. And so happens with the Braves. Nobody says anything about it except their superstar, Ronald Acuna Jr. He got on Twitter real quick. He said, if that was me, they would have thrown me out the game. Now, of course, he was referring to 2019 when he was benched in the NLDS because he didn't beat out a play. So he, clearly still feels some type of way about that. And, he voiced his opinion. He quickly deleted it, of course. And, everybody in the press box called it. So as soon as Brian Snitker sat down at the podium, that was the first question asked to him. And, his answer was real, I didn't see it, which is kind of crazy because I feel like no matter what you were watching, just from the position of being on the first base side, you saw him. So you not seeing it, okay. But he added just a very much this is a one-off for him. So it's something that I'm not going to really trip about. It's not a situation where he chastised Kalenic. Kalenic was in his office the next day. They say, according to Jeff Van Creur, he was in there crying, apologizing. But he apologized for the situation and they moved forward from it. This caused what I felt was a really unnecessary ripple in everything going on as they tried to finally catch their rhythm, not only offensively, but just as a team, period. They started the season off 0-7. They finally started to get some series wins. They finally got it into a soft part of their schedule. So that really helps with that. But it was an issue. So Courtney, I'm going to ask you, as you bring Malik back in, how did you feel about what took place? And is it a situation where this is just, those old unwritten rules coming back?
When I first heard about this, hair natural reaction was, okay, we saw what happened with Acuna and, again, it's maybe not necessarily the same, players getting the same treatment. I can understand why Ronald Acuna Jr. felt that way. And I'm not even saying that he's wrong, but all I'm saying is that there is a track record that Acuna had up until that point. It wasn't just that this happened on one occasion, and then Snitker benched Acuna. This is something that had happened to Acuna more than once. So do I think it maybe should have just stayed in the clubhouse and maybe we don't go to Twitter? Yeah, probably. But also, I understand where Ronald Acuna Jr. is coming from. And as far as, Jared Kelenic being in Snitker's office, groveling and as he should be. Look at his career numbers. You should be groveling in his office. You need every opportunity you can get.
Malik, how you feeling? Malik, how did you feel about everything that happened with Acuna and just the history of it all?
Is there a little bit of trouble in paradise going on in Atlanta? Because, the vibes, they were good a few years ago. You had Wash, you had EY, and, the World Series, of course, them trying to get back. And then just with all the injuries that they've set, I wonder if it's a bit of frustration building in between Ronald Acuna and really around the whole team. They haven't been playing up to par this season, I'd say. Definitely think that it was wrong of Acuna to go out on Twitter. And when you see something like that, I don't see how that doesn't mess with the locker room, how it doesn't show a little bit of disjointedness. So hopefully they can pull him back. But on the other hand, as a guy who's looking who follows a team who might need a few new outfielders, I wonder if Ronnie's time, that's a nice little movable contract. I'm not saying that there's complete smoke right now, but if he does get back this season and maybe he doesn't close it out the way he wants to, I'm sure he'll be back. He'll be back in about a month or so. I wonder if he has some struggles when he gets back, and if the Braves end up not making the playoffs, finishing with a tough season. What do they do with him? What do they do with Snicker himself? He's made it through these years, carried by that World Series. They always have a talented team. I think injuries have played a big part in why we haven't seen the Braves back in the World Series, but just something that I'll be watching out for the rest of the season.
Yeah, and I mean, Alex Verdugo was one of those like Jurickson Profar-esque signings for the Braves this season, and now he's coming to this lineup. The Braves have won? How many of their last 10 games? Like eight of their last 10 games now. He's got like an 850 OPS in his last 10 games with the Braves, or his first 10 games, I should say, with the Braves. I mean, again, everybody is replaceable. I'm not saying Ronald Acuna Jr. should be replaced, especially not with the details of his contract. It's never happening. Let's be clear. They got away with fucking highway robbery there. But like, I'm just saying, everybody's replaceable.
And especially for that team, I mean, they won the World Series without him. And if you can, like you said, you don't want to say everybody's replaceable, but when you got Money Michael Harris, when you got Matt Olson, when you got, hopefully Spencer Strider can shake back from that hamstring injury. You got Austin Riley. There's plenty of talent. Hell, they're getting Profar back at some point this season too. Hopefully, the Royals wasn't everything for him, but there's some talent coming to that team for sure.
And that's where, like I said before in the pre-show, like I think my answer may surprise some people. I wrote it about it. Check out our editorials at thebcnet.com. Ronnie's wrong, like flat out. He's wrong. You're not with the team right now. You're rehabbing in Los Angeles. Your team is trying to get back on track, bro. This is the last thing they need. Number one. Two, you bring up something from 2019. We're talking about 6 years ago. This is not something that happened last year or the year
when
before.
You were 21, bro.
Yeah. When it happened, one of the guys who who took issue with it was Freddie Freeman, who was the face of the franchise, and that brings it around to my major point.
And Ozzie Albies and Brian McCann. Everybody was critical of him.
You're not Jared fucking Kalenic. You're the face of the franchise. The expectations are different for you. If he does this, like I said, this is a one-off for Kalenic. We know he doesn't do it all the time. Okay, say something to him. It's not that big a deal. But for you, a guy that sets the tone, for a guy that was being prepped to have the mental pass to you from those guys, no, it's always going to be different for you. There are always going to be different expectations for you, and you should know that. And this goes back to what we talk about with the Braves, and one of the biggest issues is that I feel like there's no real leader on this team. Usually when you don't have a leader that's a player, the manager does that. But I mean, I wonder how we've seen they still continue to win games, but like, who is the true leader of that baseball team? Because I think for Ronnie to say that, and like I said, he deleted it. I'm sure, he probably felt dumb after the fact, but it's one of those situations where that's something that as a leader you can't do. And your team really, didn't need that at all. So, Malik, you bring up a good point. He has a very tradable contract. You can get a haul for him, and a haul would be an understatement, because this is a guy who, despite the 2 ACL tears, is, an amazing player when he's on the field, and he's usually on the field. He's had 2 major injuries, but outside of that, Ronald Acuna Jr. is one of the most electric players in baseball. So, I mean, it's a situation where I'm not worried about it. I still think he's just got designated for assignment. He's going, not designated for assignment, for his rehab assignment. So he's going down to Gwinnett to knock the rust off. He should probably be back in a couple of weeks. I think he'll be embraced with open arms. It'll be a standing ovation in Truist as usual, and the Braves really need him because it's still a team, despite the way they struggled to start the season, that you have an opportunity to make a run and finally crawl back into your division race, which it's always going to be tough, something you see every year. But if you want to start catching up, now is the time to do it. And they've been hot. You got Sean Murphy back. He's really ignited that offense. Matt Olson's finally starting to get some extra base hits, putting the ball out of the ballpark. So it was just silly. It was bad timing for me, but I still think, all can be made right, really, really quickly. So we'll see. We'll keep an eye on that, but I'm not worried about it at all.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and you gotta just my last comment just on the leadership of Ronald Acuna, and who you say the Braves don't have a leader. With him being out with all these injuries, I mean, obviously that plays a part. When he gets back, is it gonna be awkward? And I mean, who does take that? Who do you think out of everybody on the Braves takes that stance as I don't know. I'm not just saying, you don't got to be the guy who shakes the bats and who throws everything, but who is the guy that they follow? Or is it, Acuna, it's the way he leads is with his plays, with stealing 40 bases and hitting 40 home runs?
Honestly, I think the leader, the guy who really I see just energy-wise that seems to really be a spark plug for that team a lot is Marcell Ozuna. I wouldn't say he's the outright leader because, I mean, you have guys like Austin Riley, who Austin is a guy who, Gold Glove third baseman. He's a guy that they do lean on. But Ozzy has been struggling a lot, but Ozzy may be the closest thing to a cut above everybody else. Okay, this is the guy. This is the leader. Because, the pecking order for years was, Chipper passed it down to Freddie. So you had Freddie, who was the guy. Dansby was his look like Robin, his sidekick, but it was still clearly Freddie's team. Freddie was the guy. And then, when they left, it was, it was supposed to be Ronnie, but it's really Ozzy is a guy that he's the head of the snake. He's the one who's typically you don't see Ozzy sliding in the order too much. He's going to be in that 2 spot, in that 2 hole, doing what he does. And, even though he struggled this year, that's somebody that I expect the team to lean on. And when he gets rolling, you'll see even more of that camaraderie. And the Braves are always a fun team to watch. And that's something that had been lacking at the beginning of the season, but they're finally starting to pick it back up. So getting your superstar back and, putting this behind them, I think that's going to help out a lot. Now, there's another superstar closer that we got to talk about for a minute. Devin Williams. Devin Williams, as you all know, signed with the New York Yankees this offseason. Did he sign or was he traded?
He was traded.
He was traded for Nestor, and I can't name the other prospect. He's some Jose Altuve version for the Yankees, some short dude with a bunch of pop.
Okay, cool. Well, yeah, traded to the Yankees. Expected to he's given the closer spot, and as the season started, bro has struggled. He was officially removed from that closer role for right now. Aaron Boone said he wanted to let him get his mind right. So far this regular season, he's 0-2 with a 9 ERA in 12 games, 4 saves, 10 innings pitched, 10 strikeouts, and a whip of 2. So very un-Devin Williams like numbers. Malik, I'll start with you. Are you concerned with Devin, or is this something where it's just new division? We all know the American League typically is, a tougher division for pitchers than the National League. Is it just, an adjustment period, or is something to actually be worried about with Devin?
I'm not going to lie. I am a little bit worried for the Airbender, who's been one of the, you can't name 3 closers better than him over the last few years. Struggling with control, struggling keeping runners off base, giving up the big hit. And it's been ever since that big bomb from Pete Alonso. We've seen Emmanuel Clase also go through some struggles this year. So a few of the top-notch closers, maybe they've been getting found out. Another thing that I think has affected him, the Yankees have always had a solid bullpen coaches, who Holmes was solid last year. So I don't want to say it's a downgrade of coaching, but the Milwaukee Brewers are a pitching factory. He's been there his whole career. They discovered the Airbender. And look, whenever they traded him and moved on from him, they immediately had 4 or 5 other dudes, McGill, Uribe, to come in and they haven't missed a beat. They have Grant Anderson, a former Texas Rangers pitcher, up and down out here in Texas. He currently has a 2.92 ERA. His fastball was at 90-91 last year. He's hit 95, pushing 96. Slider has some incredible break on it. It's breaking more. I want to say like 6 to 8 inches more. So I think that's playing a big role in his departure. And also in New York, you know, Luke Weaver was their guy even last year, even down in the playoffs. They're not gonna play with you in New York. We want Weaver. Those chances were coming after the first blown save. So, I mean, I don't know if he gets his save. If Weaver holds it down like he should, I don't think he gets that. There's a chance he doesn't get that closer roll back. Settle. I don't want to completely panic, but like I said, if he can't get his control and keep runners off base to where he's not having to force himself to throw that fastball. If it's, you know, 2 guys on, 2-0 count, 3-0 count, you can't throw your changeup. It's not going to be a strike. People are sitting on a fastball. So I think he's got to get his control down, or it's definitely going to be some trouble in New York.
No, I feel you. Courtney, how you feeling?
Yeah, I completely echo Malik's sentiments. And it's unfortunate. The we want Weaver thing is so confusing to me. And listen, I understand fans getting frustrated watching their team, especially in a tight race, like we know the American League East will continue to be. You know, it's, in my opinion, it's really a 2-man race. I don't think Toronto has it. I definitely don't think Baltimore has the arms. I don't think their young guys are hitting very well right now. I don't think Baltimore has it. Tampa's always, I mean, I guess a bit of a headache, but this is the Yankees AL East to lose, right? And you can't afford to lose games right now if you're the Yankees. I think the best scenario for Devin Williams is for him to get his confidence back. But you're not going to do that when you're blowing saves in high leverage situations. And again, Yankee fans, befuddle all logic. Why are you booing your own closer? Do you think that helps him get his stuff back? That's not helpful to him at all. And they did have Luke Weaver, right? And I think some unnamed Yankees executive was like, you know, why wouldn't we want a phenomenal bullpen? Because you did already have a great closer in Luke Weaver, who up through 14 innings pitched now has a 0.00 ERA, has not given up a single earned run through 12 games played this season. He's just been fantastic. I mean, but the Yankees have a track record of doing things like this. They did it in 1977 when Sparky Lyle was their closer, and then they brought in Goose Gossage the next year. And we know how that Yankees team played. You know, that was a fucking all-time Yankees team between 77 and 82, 83, up until, you know, Sparky Lyle started to lose shit. But, you know, I digress. New York is not an easy town to play in, and you're not doing your closer any favors by booing him. Again, get his confidence back by putting him in low leverage situations. I still believe in Devin Williams. I also believe that Devin Williams might need another pitch. Luke Weaver has a 4-pitch arsenal. Devin Williams has 2. And if his fastball is also down like a tick, if they get, brother, we might need to figure something out up there. That's all I'm saying.
No, you're absolutely right, and I'm glad you said it. Like we haven't really seen a extremely successful 2-pitch closer since Mariano. I mean, you know, you have your guys that throw, and the ones that are
right, like,
the ones that are throw 99, like Devin doesn't throw 99, so it's one of those things
he was throwing 94, 95, but now that 94, 95 is now sitting about 92, 93, and again, when you're already struggling with command of one pitch or 4-seamer, brother, losing a couple of miles per hour in your velo is not great.
Yeah, especially I think it was CC Sabathia who said it, and he was like, the difference between 94 and 95 is very significant. So when you're already below that threshold with major league hitters, and they're allowed to now just sit on the breaking ball, no matter how amazing it is, but if it's traditionally not a strike and you're struggling with your control, now I can just sit fastball because you're trying to use that as your get over pitch, and you're not going to get over on anybody in Major League Baseball with a 93-mile-an-hour fastball. It's just not going to happen. So I'm with you. I'm slightly concerned. I will be honest about that. And, you know, it's one of those things where you both have said it, but you have to, the confidence is key. any pitcher, confidence is key, but a closer especially. If a guy is not going out there and he's, in his mind says, yeah, I'm about to shut this shit down. Because, it got to the point where even though he's only had 10 appearances so far this season, he didn't look like Devin Williams. Like, we're used to Devin Williams getting on that mound, being extremely confident. We know what pitch he has. The batter knows what's coming, and they still can't hit it. And, that whole aura has been, tainted so far in New York. So I think for him to get that back, he really just has to, focus on that control, getting, when he is given the ball, go out there. And, sometimes you may have to put yourself in those situations mentally and just really have to go out there and dominate. I know it's always like when the White Sox got Kimbrough and they were trying to figure out it was going to be Kimbrough or Liam Hendricks, and Kimbrough would come in the 8th and get his shit absolutely rocked all over the place. I think it's with Devin. I don't think that'll be the case with him. I think he can become an effective setup man. And if you get to a point where, that's best for the team, leave him in that role. But I think, it was the right move for Boone to, let him take a step back and really just, let's see what we can do. And, oh, by the way, we have Weaver here, so I can throw this guy in there. And I'm not losing anything out of that closer role. So, I mean, that's something we definitely going to have to keep looking at going forward with the Yankees. I think, like you said, I believe it's their division to lose. I think the Red Sox, as much as we hype them, they're not better than the Yankees. And so, as long as you have Aaron Judge, in the heart of that lineup, they get healthy, they can do some things. So, we'll see what happens with those Yankees. But
we do need to get Anthony Volpe out of that lineup, though. Anthony Volpe, brother, we might need to have a discussion that we might need to. I'm going to give him one more month, but we might need to unpack what's happening there with Anthony Volpe.
His best contribution to the team was the torpedo bats so far. Like that, we appreciate those, brother. But you can go sit down. But speaking of sitting down, like this is a interesting topic that it came across the timeline. I didn't think about talking about it at first, but I was like, we could spend a few minutes on it because I think it's important. Baseball, there's no other sport, in my opinion, in America where history is, vital to the story. Like baseball history and American history are just intertwined. Whether you had a World War stoppages, the former players who are members of the military, things of that nature. And so it was interesting to me that, everybody's favorite commissioner, Rob Manfred, he had a conversation with President Trump. And they discussed a few things, but one thing they talked about was reinstating Pete Rose. Now, this is a topic that baseball fans have talked about for years. Is even his own former teammate, which was probably one of the most underrated parts of his documentary, Johnny Bench, was like, "There's a rule, right? He broke the rule, right? So what are you asking me? Like it's kind of cut and dry what he did. I understand we could talk about the whole sponsored by DraftKings and all that other shit, but you can't take present day circumstances and put them on previous situations. That's just not how life works. It ain't how history works. And so right now they're trying to, as we see all around the country, really whitewash a lot of things and rewrite history in a way and re-put certain things in. They had another message the other day about Columbus Day coming back and just things like that. And so I wanted to get y'all opinion about this. How would y'all feel? Well, Courtney, I already know how you feel, but I'm gonna ask you anyway. How would y'all feel about Major League Baseball reinstating Pete Rose and potentially, adding him to the Hall of Fame? Courtney, I'll start with you.
Again, not going to get too far into it. I think it's fucking absurd. I think it's absolutely absurd. Again, beyond breaking the rules, he was not a good person. He was not even like slightly sorry about what he did. Not just, again, pertaining to baseball, not just pertaining to the tax evasion related to his gambling debts. Again, personally, we do know that he was involved with a 16-year-old girl. What are we even talking about here? Now, I understand Rob Manfred has to do what he has to do for the sake of the sport, right? If you have the president's ear, you have to be able to talk to him about issues that are occurring within this man's administration, like immigration issues, which affects the pipeline of the sport that you are the commissioner of, right? Antitrust exemptions, tax discussions. I completely understand why he would need to have those conversations with the current president. I can also see that Donald Trump would love to take a victory lap on this and say, wow, I was the one who was responsible for getting Pete Rose unbanned. What a lot of people don't realize, though, and I'm not talking about you guys or even just general baseball fans, is that the Hall of Fame and Major League Baseball, they are not of the same accord. So MLB can't tell the Hall of Fame to do anything. They can unban him or whatever. The Hall of Fame can still decide not to have him put on the ballot. The writers would have to decide to put him on the ballot. And then that's just not happening. I don't think it's ever happening in my lifetime. I would be shocked if it did and disgusted. That's all.
Yeah. Malik, how you feel about this whole Pete Rose situation and just, the president, it seems like he's, he has a heavy hand in sports, and we see him more than any other president, so far. Well, he's actually,
he's the reason why Shador got drafted, Dante.
See, that was foolish, but yeah, he had the Shador comments. He's at these UFC events, college football games. I'm sure he'll be at the World Series like he was during his first presidency. How do you feel about this?
Look, man, just a message to Manfred, man. If you were gonna give the man Pete his flowers and let him be in the Hall of Fame, you should have did that while he was alive. Now I agree, like you're saying, it comes across and it appears that they're just trying to whitewash everything, especially this coming after allowing all the Negro League records last year to come into the Major League record books. So you saw a few guys get knocked off. Babe Ruth, bunch of different guys lost their records. So trying to get a guy in like Pete, just to just remember that part of a great thing that was during his time. It's Major League Baseball, so do I see it as a possibility of it happening? I definitely do. But I'm not for it. Like Courtney was saying, just the stuff that Pete did off the field, and I understand that sports in general now are all about gambling. So, but it was deeper than that with him. I hope it doesn't happen. Like I said, that's something that I feel like it's a pity move to Pete, and I don't know if he'd even want it. He got his flowers per se, whatever. At that All-Star game in Cincinnati a few years back. I feel like that's the best you can get. And if you can't get Barry in the Hall of Fame for the Royds, if you're not gonna move needles for people like him and for Clemens, then let's just put an asterisk by that. Us baseball fans know Pete Rose. We know that story. Guys like that you're gonna leave off. You can tell the story of baseball without having those guys in the Hall of Fame.
And then when does it end, right? Like, what do you do about shoeless Joe Jackson? At what you're just kind of opening the floodgates now at this point. If we're just gonna go back and start letting people in, I don't like it. I don't like it.
Yeah, no, I think you all hit the nail on the head. It's one of those situations where, bro, it's enough is enough. Like, if you're a baseball fan, you know who Pete Rose is. He's one of those guys where I feel like him being in the Phillies Ring of Honor, he's in the Reds Ring of Honor. I believe he has statues at both stadiums. His imprint is well known around baseball. Charlie Hustle, they know who he is. We you love him or you hate him. He had, it is what it is at this point. Like, it's a guy who doesn't necessarily need to be celebrated, but you're going to have people who choose to do it anyway. And so if they do it, it's kind of like how I feel about the people who still want to talk about R. Kelly. Listen, if you listen to it over there. That's fine, bro. I'm not going to sit here and try to police that. But at the same time, we don't have to try to rewrite history and make it seem like somebody was this upstanding citizen when the true stories are just a lot darker. And I'm with you, Courtney. One of the things about this that even when you step aside from the gambling, it's a lot of dark shit in the Pete Rose story. And it's one of those things where this is a guy who was unapologetic about everything until the day that he passed away. So, I think we need to just let it lie, let it be, and leave it there. All of this rewriting and reinstating, I think that would be a mistake by Rob Manfred. And I think he, as somebody who has been critical in the past, I think he really is on a pace to in his tenure the right way, but what he's trying to do around baseball. And I don't think he should take, the cliche 2 steps back with this move right here. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Speaking of moves, trying to take some steps toward being better, the Chicago Cubs. I think this is the most positive I've been about the Cubs in years, as someone who traditionally just says fucks the Cubs and keeps it moving with my day. But they are currently in first place in the AL Central. They're 18-13. I thought they had more wins than that, but they are 18-13. And one of their key offseason additions, Kyle Tucker, has been as advertised. He's currently hitting 279. He has 7 home runs, 27 RBIs, which leads the team, and he has 34 hits. Now, we've heard some rumblings about a contract extension. I know me and Courtney talked about, they need to stop playing and sign him. I got this quote from David Kaplan, who's a radio guy in Chicago, friend of the program, friend of the network. And he said, I'm hearing that the Cubs have wrapped their brain around. It doesn't mean that he'll accept it, but they've wrapped their brains around whatever it costs, we're paying it. And they really want to keep Kyle Tucker. So this is, we usually don't even hear this type of talk from the Cubs. So I think that in itself is a bonus. And so before we get into, potential moves they can make to, solidify their place in the AL Central, because I believe not only is it a winnable division, they have arguably the most talented team in the division, even though, you have a lot of young talent in Cincinnati. When you look at a guy like PCA who's coming around, Michael Busch is playing well. Like I said, Kyle Tucker, Seiya is one of the best right-handed hitters in baseball, and he has been since last season. The team is really coming together well. Courtney, I'll start with you. What do you see from Kyle Tucker that you like? And if you're the Cubs, do you just hand him a blank check, or is this still one of those things where, because we talked about it in the past, where it's like sometimes you want to pay somebody, but you don't want to handcuff yourself to where you can't fill other holes on your roster. So what should the Cubs do with Kyle Tucker?
Yeah. Again, incredibly talented player. And I am all on board with giving Kyle Tucker, I can't necessarily say a blank check just because he is not the greatest defensive right fielder. So if you're planning to get any kind of defensive output from that position, don't get me wrong. He is not a bad right fielder. He is just an average right fielder with average arm strength. So essentially, in my opinion, what you're going to get is extent over time is a DH. So if you think that he can continue to produce those kinds of offensive numbers, and again, he does have oppo power. So it's not, I saw his spray chart, and all 7 of his home runs so far have been to right field, but he has hit some doubles to left that were very similar in feet to his right field homers. That being said, I heard the rumblings about it being in the 10-year, $420 million range, which is exponentially higher. Yeah. Which is exponentially higher than the Cubs' largest contract that they've ever given, which was to Jason Hayward for 7 years, $184 million. Again, I am all for giving Kyle Tucker an extension. He's going to get paid no matter where he goes. But my thing is, if the Cubs are this team that have shown themselves to not want to spend that much money, I just feel like if they make one big move, it might handcuff their ability. And again, that isn't to say that the Cubs can't pay. They choose not to pay. Very different things. The Cubs could absolutely afford to pay whoever they need. I just don't think they will if they do give Kyle Tucker all that money. Because maybe their logic is, we have what we need. We can make some trades. Because if they're going to do it, I feel like maybe it's hard for me to imagine a scenario where they give him this money during the season. And I say that because if he continues to produce like he is right now, he knows he can get paid in the offseason. Someone's going to pay him, if not more money. I wouldn't want to sign on to a team that probably doesn't plan on spending any more money. That's how Nolan Arenado got duped in Colorado. They lied to that man and told him that they were going to pay other people and build a team around him. And they didn't do that. And that's why he wanted to get out of there.
Yeah, I think if I'm Kyle, there are certain, and these teams, of course, will never put it in writing, but there's certain guarantees I need. Because Wrigley is an amazing place to play baseball. Chicago is an amazing baseball city. But if we're going to just, bank on nostalgia, I don't want to be there. I want to win a World Series. I want to, keep adding to my legacy. I understand Kyle has one or two.
Kyle
World
Tucker
Series.
has one.
One World
Okay.
Series.
He wasn't on that 2017 team. He was on 2020.
Okay, right. Okay, cool. Yeah. So he has one, but I want to win multiple World Series. That's my goal. Like I'm here to be an elite player, and I want you to add elite talent around me. So if I'm Kyle, I'm with you. Like it's one of those things where you can't trust the handshake agreements. You can't just have the Ricketts who have a history of not spending. I know they paid for Dansby, but and I will say this because Jonathan Hood, he corrected me. He was like, the Cubs spend, but they don't spend on superstars. They, like you said, the Jason Hayward, they'll give $179 million to Jason Hayward. They'll give they gave 150 to Dansby. What was it? Something like that. But they'll do those type of deals. But that 250, 300, 350, they've never cracked that threshold. So it's interesting for me, especially because, like you said, are you a World Series team? Let me ask y'all this. Before we get your opinion, are you a World Series team if Kyle Tucker is your best player? Like your number one guy?
I think he could be. The thing about it though is we're gonna learn this year. Let me say that because I say yeah, but I also think about what they built around the Astros. He had Altuve, he had Pena win the MVP, he had Breggy, he had Jordan, and I think he was among the best hitters of that group. He's brought some juice to the Cubs. Man, can he get it done by himself though?
And
it's a good thing they have Dansby. It's a good thing, like I said, it's a good thing they have Dansby. I don't think as of right now, I would say the Cubs are favorite. I don't know if they can beat the Dodgers. So at this point, I guess I'm gonna lean towards no. As of right now. But there are pieces there. Like you said, PCA, you get the best from Suzuki, you get Dansby. There's a chance, but do I think that they're better than the Dodgers and have a legit shot to beat them in the playoffs? The Padres even, the Giants even? Nah.
And I agree with you, Malik. Like, I think you're spot on. I don't think they're a Kyle Tucker away, like for even next season. I don't think Kyle Tucker is that last piece that they need. And also they have a guy in AAA, Kevin Alcantara, no relation to Sandy. I know you were going to bring him up in a couple minutes, Dante, or in a few seconds. Who's a right fielder in Iowa, AAA Iowa, who has not the same numbers as Kyle Tucker, obviously, but still has pretty impressive numbers through 2025, the first 20 games so far in AAA. So, I am obviously Kyle Tucker, incredible player. I'm not saying this is a plug and replace situation. Obviously, Kyle Tucker at this point in his career is significantly better than Kevin Alcantara. But I'm just saying, if you're not going to trade Alcantara to try to go get someone like who, Dante and all of us are about to touch on, then, maybe don't force it.
Yeah.
They already forced out Cam Smith, so system's a little bit depleted after losing Tucker. But and that's another thing that they got to consider when they want to sign Tucker is you traded your top guy for him. You can't lose Kyle for nothing. Maybe it's a, I don't want to say it's the same type of hand forcing to pay as Vlad had, because Vlad, he's homegrown, and I think he got paid because they had so many misses. You had to pay him.
Correct.
Kyle Tucker's not in that deep with the Cubs, I feel like.
Yeah, but I think that is doomsday, red alert, worst case scenario if you turn this into a 1-year rental of Kyle Tucker, because like you said, they're not winning the World Series this year. So if you've traded, depleted your farm system, traded a pretty solid guy, and all you get is 1 year, a 1-year rental, tease your fans for a year, that would be literally the worst case scenario. And I think Cub fans would be very, very, very upset about that. Now, we spoke about, Cal possibly being the best player on your team, but I think two of the holes on this team, because like I said, they're in first place, but we want to see them get better. I think two holes in this team is obviously starting pitcher. You have the Justice Steele injury. The staff itself, I've never been a huge fan of it. Machado is cool. I didn't check on the injury report, but they were out checking on him. His last game, which was, I think it was yesterday. It might have been today. I think it was yesterday though. So I got to check the update with him. But you have some issues in the starting rotation. We already know about the bullpen, and third base has been a black hole. Like, you're talking about a team that's in first place, and they've had some shitty play at third base, like absolutely terrible. I'm about to check his no trade team, because he has a no trade clause and he has a list of teams that he will not play for. How would you all feel about seeing Nolan Arenado at Wrigley? Malik, I'll go back to you.
Ooh. I love to see Nolan at Wrigley playing in some meaningful baseball. I feel like that's one thing we've been robbed of him over since his time with the Rockies. I believe they only made the playoffs maybe once. They lost to the Diamondbacks in the wild card, I want to say, back then. Hasn't had that success with the Cardinals. Didn't have it when they paired him up with Goldie. Wrigley Field is crazy. I know he's been on the rivalry team. He's been on the rival team for years now, but I do like Nolan. I think that's a good piece to put around Kyle Tucker, a guy who's going to for sure shore up your defense for everybody. He's going to raise the standard in that infield. That's going to be one of the best left sides of the infield. You got Dansby Swanson at shortstop, him at third base. So I think that's definitely a move that Nolan should consider. If they take them any contending team, Nolan, please don't have him on your no trade list. Because he's a type of guy with the flair. We saw him in the World Baseball Classic. That's the biggest baseball we've seen him play. So I think that's a really nice ad. Like I said, gives extreme depth to that left side of the infield defense. And you had a guy like that, that juices Tucker out. Give him a bat before or around him. I think that helps a lot.
Yeah, I agree with you, Malik. I think also he needs a change in environment. People thought Goldie was cooking. Now he's honestly kind of thriving in New York, doing all the things that they really wanted Anthony Rizzo to do and just couldn't get him going, But Goldie is thriving in New York now. So I think a change of environment would be wonderful for Nolan Arenado. Can really invigorate him. And hopefully they can fix him, because he has been not great, maybe to say it politely, in the past couple seasons in St. Louis. Yeah, maybe it didn't work out quite the way he had planned.
Yeah, I agree. I think they say he's not in a rush to leave, but he did name 5 teams that he would play for. None of them are the Chicago Cubs. He said the Los Angeles Dodgers, the Boston Red Sox, the New York Yankees, San Diego Padres, and Houston Astros.
That was preseason when he said that, right? Like, was that before the season started? Because I know those are teams that he said he'd waive his no trade clause for. I know they never fully publish.
Yeah, that was before. Yeah. This article was from.
Oh, hey, things can change. Yeah. Things can absolutely change.
And another note, he said he would play first base, which I think is interesting. I don't want to see that.
Michael Bush's job?
I'll be damned if I put a 10-time gold glover, platinum glover at fucking first base. Absolutely not.
I think that was the call. I think that was the little wink at San Diego if he ever thinks about playing first base.
Oh my God.
Maybe he moves over for Manny Machado.
I would
go
throw
rise at
that would be amazing. Oh my God.
I would rather die.
Hey, you got him, Xander Bogart. That's a nostalgia filled infield already.
With slide Xander Bogarts in there.
Hey, he's little home cook, little cooking a little bit this year. Not full feast. The average is over 250. I want to say.
Yeah. I'm just messing with you. Oh man.
But no, I think I do believe Nolan. If the Cubs did make the call, he should at least consider it. I understand wanting to go to a absolute, without a doubt, World Series contender, especially at this point in his career, because you are a guy who's, you've already been lied to once. St. Louis hasn't worked out, so it's I need to go to a situation where I can win. So I think the Cubs, that's my guy I would go after. I still can't believe that they didn't at least attempt to try to sign Matt Chapman. I think they're still kicking themselves over that. That would have been a solid piece, especially defensively at third base. Another guy who can he's just an absolute. That's one guy who I enjoyed watching play live. Matt Chapman, if you've ever seen him play third base live, A fucking one.
Man, his infield, bro. He's a damn shortstop.
Bro, no, cannon of an arm, like does it all. Like one, because I was at a game with my friend from Oakland. Well, no, I was watching Oakland, and I texted him. I was like, bro, why is Matt Chapman like so far back? Like, isn't that like kind of bad for a third baseman? He was like, wait till you watch him throw the ball.
Just watch.
And he fucking threw that bitch like 98 across the diamond. Just shoo. I'm like, okay, I get it. I see it. Yep. It makes sense. But I think no, third base is definitely a hole for the Cubs. A place that they need to fill. And also, like I said, we talked about the starting pitching. And I think one guy, because I'm stop with the small market tactics. You're the Chicago Cubs. You have the money. Sandy, go get Sandy. I think he's been struggling down there in Miami. I feel like it's one of those cities where it's kind of like when Jazz left and went to New York and finally picked it up. It's kind of hard to stay motivated down there when every year you're in a perpetual rebuild and you have ownership groups that you knew it was bad when everybody who had a vision of actually building a winner in Miami left, whether it be Jeter, the GM, what's her name? Slips me right now. Say it again.
Kim Ng.
Yeah, Kim Ng. You've had talented people in the building and they've left. You even had Barry Bonds, who was a hitting coach at one point. He left. You're talking about just the Marlins.
The former GM of the Rays that went to go take that job down there.
Yeah, like it's a shit show. So I mean, they are who they are. So I think if you can pluck him from Miami and put him in that rotation, I think that's something that could definitely solidify their spot at the top of the NL Central and help them in that playoff push. Because I mean, we know how rotations shorten up during the postseason. So if you can have Sandy at the top of it, I think that changes a lot of things because you have a potential for him to go 2 to 3 times in a series, and that can really affect the way another team can not only play you but who they have to go with. So I think that's somebody you have to go for the gusto, bro. Top of the top. Look at these teams who are struggling right now, who have gotten up to bad starts and are probably going, maybe potentially sell off some pieces, some guys that are going to be free agents next year. But I think if you're the Cubs, that's where my calls start. I call Miami first and foremost. How y'all feel about that?
I like the Sandy Alcantara ad. Another team that I call is the Los Angeles Angels, who I think are about a week away from a complete implode. I hope Ron Washington can keep everything together, but it's just been some tough things coming out. They got onto their GM and their operations about their travel schedule. Even when I spoke to them earlier a few weeks ago, they only had played one home series in like the first 3 weeks of the season. You go ask for a guy like Taylor Ward, you go ask for a guy like Refugo. You get, if you need some pitching, Anderson, Soriano are there. Refugo can play third base for you. I for sure don't sell my system for Mike Trout. I don't think the Cubs have that. But if Luka got traded out of Dallas, so anything's possible for crumbs. So we'll see. But I'd say Refugo, Taylor Ward, 2 guys who were healthy, unlike Trout. And then like you said, if you go starting pitcher role, Anderson was an all-star last year. Soriano, he's had some good starts this year. He's another one of those guys that are up and down. But I think getting anybody out of Anaheim would be a boost.
And this is going to sound very like Anthony Edwards-esque when he was like, who did he say? He's like, oh, we got
Jay McDaniels.
Correct. If you can't get Nolan Arenado, like you said, on the same side of the country, Ryan McMahon is right there in Colorado. Yeah, he's struggling a little bit so far to start this season. But again, who wouldn't be struggling right now with a team that's only on pace to win like 22 games this season, which is just disgusting. Again, I love the idea of Nolan Arenado. I just also find it really, because apparently I think Chaim Bloom is going to be taking over, right? In St. Louis.
Yeah, I got to double check it.
Yeah, isn't Heim Bloom going to be taking over? I'm just saying, if you're the GM in St. Louis, I know interdivision trades aren't the most popular thing, but you might as well just start getting rid of everybody at that point. I'm looking at you, Ryan Helsley. I'm looking at you, Phil Maton. Two, I mean, again, not terribly expensive relievers, but two guys that you could definitely slot into that bullpen. Honestly, you see the vision?
Yes. No. They got to do something. This is my thing. Once again, and before we get into our series to watch this weekend, stop acting like a small market team. Like, you broke the curse. I know that core of the curse team, the curse breakers, they didn't, do what you wanted them to do in terms of having aces. Well, you know what? Even I think that's a damn lie. Because how many NLCS did they go to? They went to 3. I know it was certainly 2 at minimum, and they won the World Series. You've had success. Build on that success. Keep it going, bro. And this is somebody who roots for the team on the other side of town. But no, I think they have no excuse, and it's truly time for the Cubs to start spending a couple dollars. You could spend an extra 50 to 75 million. You still don't have a top 5 payroll, and your team is a lot better. So I don't see the downside to spending that bread. And we're going to see what they actually do. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting. But before we get out of here, like I said, we have been on the road. I know we took a week off last week, but anytime we tell you what to watch, it's usually something you really should watch. And this week is no different. We got 2 very good series for y'all to check out this week. I'm going to let Courtney kick it off first. The one that's going to be down here in Atlanta.
Absolutely. I'm talking about Dodgers Braves. We got Yamamoto on the mound for LA at Truist on Friday. We'll be pitching against Grant Holmes, who's also starting on Friday. He's got a 4.50 ERA in 6 games, including 5 starts with 26 Ks and 17 walks in his 28 innings pitched so far this season. That contrasts very starkly against Yamamoto's incredible start to the season, a league best 1.06 ERA, 11 walks through 34 innings pitched, and 43 Ks, just adding that in there. And Freddie Freeman, also my player to watch really for this entire season. Since signing with LA in Atlanta, batting in Atlanta, he's batting 308, 426, and 538 in 10 games at Truist, 2 home runs, 3 doubles, 8 RBIs. Definitely my guy to watch. Saturday, we have Rokai Sasaki on the mound versus Spencer Schwellenbach. And on Sunday, Dustin May versus Bryce Elder. So definitely tap in for that series, but especially that game on Friday. It's going to be electric stuff.
Oh, yes. No, absolutely. I'm waiting on my credentials because I'm definitely trying to be in the building. I know it's a popular team, but come on, bro. We can slide me in there. I need to be there. I'm really looking forward to it because, I mean, this is one of those things where we talk about, NLCS preview and all of that, 2 potential World Series teams. But this is also 2 teams that have not looked like their usual selves. They haven't been, the powerhouses that we expect them to be. I think the Dodgers, that's a team that they can flip a switch at any moment, and then they look like the team that spent $500 million, so it's going to be interesting, but I do think that's going to be a very, very entertaining series. I want to see if the Braves can keep it going with the offense, especially because the weather should be solid. People always think I'm joking when I say this, but no, bro, the ball flies at Truist when it's warm. It's always been like that since the Braves got there. And it's also a team that, they've averaged, I believe, 49 home wins over the past 4 years. So they typically play pretty well at home. So with the Dodgers coming into town, we'll see how that goes. And I'm looking forward to it. Malik, what y'all got going down with the Rangers down there?
Well, it looks like it's got a little more crucial. Brent Rooker just hit a 2-run go-ahead home run off of him in the 9th inning. So it looks like they're going to be coming into, well, at least not coming off of a winning series if they lose this game. But we have the Mariners versus the Rangers this weekend, 3-game set going on. The Mariners, it's crazy for me to say this, but their offense is actually cooking. Top rated in home runs, walks, OPS slugging, J.P. Crawford, who struggled mightily last season after having a solid 2023. batting over 270, 12 RBIs as of today, Wednesday. The Mariners own the Rangers. They have recently. We know about the strong pitching staff. No Logan Gilbert on this road trip, but we'll see Woo. We'll see Woo in the building. We'll see Kirby. A Rangers offense that just it's struggling. And you thought they had a day yesterday. They had a day Tuesday. They put up 15 runs. Come right back today, struggle on offense. I think those struggles probably still continue. Just win. Just win should be the mindset. I don't believe they'll have DeGrom on the bump that series, possibly, I think Sunday. DeGrom, Kumar Rocker should be on the bump on Friday night, I believe. But just it's always a great matchup when the Mariners come in. And like I said, they've owned the Rangers for the better part of since I've been covering them here in Arlington. So be big to see if the Rangers can steal a series. That series would be for first place in the division as well.
Dope. And Courtney, I know you had one more little tidbit for us.
Yeah, one more Texas baseball related topic. In good faith, I can never encourage anyone to intentionally watch White Sox baseball. But I do want to make note that Lance McCullers Jr. will be pitching in his first major league start since Game 3 of the 2022 World Series. He last pitched on November 1st. 2022. So this is his first major league appearance back in the league. Again, what kind of better start than you could have than against the Chicago White Sox, who I think have only won, 7 games so far this season. Again, not off to a great start, but at least they're not the Rockies. But yeah, through 4 minor league starts, Lance McCullers Jr. posted 4 runs and 10 hits over 12 2/3 innings pitched with 16 Ks and 6 walks. So I know Houston's probably very thrilled at the idea of having him back. But again, it's been a while since he's pitched. So just something to check out if you were fond of his game, during 2017 World Series run and also during the 2019 World Series run where they did obviously fall to Washington. And then also, of course, in 2022. Yeah,
I hope they ease him in because if he's pitching for that Astros rotation, that's a huge boost. Framber has been struggling a little bit this year. Hunter Brown's been their ace. They caught up some minor league prospect today who he got.
AJ Blue Ball.
Oh man, he's lucky for an error because he's seven runs given up. Only 2 of them ended up being earned. But man, if Lance is good, that's going to give a huge boost to the city, to the team, to the lineup, and those throws that we talked about them a few weeks ago when they couldn't hit the ground with a cotton ball. They're coming, and if they can come off a sweep of the White Sox and he gives them 4 or 5 solid innings, just watch out for those throws.
Yeah,
I think it's great. I mean, the fact, bro, they're playing the White Sox. He's gonna be fine. They're easing them back in. They don't, like you said, unless it's the Astros, they don't get much easier than this. So I mean, it's dope. Like I said, it's kind of like with the same with Dustin May when he came back. It's like you forget about these pitchers who were extremely talented. They were actually, McCullers obviously has more of a track record than Dustin. Dustin was the younger guy, but 2 really talented pitchers that you forgot about, and now they're coming back and they have the potential to help their teams. I think with Lance, it's going to be a big ad. It's going to be a big ad for the Astros, and I'm interested to see where that goes. But yeah, man, a lot of good baseball. 2 great picks. Because me and Courtney had the same pick, I didn't put an extra series in there, but I think it's going to be a lot of good baseball. And like as the weather changes, I think this is one of those things that we know as baseball fans. That's when the season starts to pick up a little bit because the ball starts to fly a little bit more around the league, and so I'm looking forward to it, man. Malik, bro, I got to shout out Malik real quick before we get out of here, bro. You've been on the roll. You've had some really, really good interviews in the ballpark. Just tell us a little bit about that and where they can find them at.
Oh man, yeah, it's been a great season. A lot of talented players have came through Arlington. You can find all my videos on my Twitter page at _teammil, my YouTube page at Malik Mill. I also post on TikTok at Malik.Mill. Actually had a great conversation today with all-star closer last year and a guy who I think is the best, most dominant closer in the game, Mason Miller, just about his transition from 3 years ago, he was starting pitching to getting eased into the closer role last season. The A's weren't winning games. He's not closing in big situations. And now with the A's actually winning, we're about to watch them tonight as they're up 3-1. He'll surely be in the 9th, but he's learning how to be that dominant closer. So like I said, check out my YouTube link in my bio of my Twitter handle, which is right there.
All right, Courtney, let the people know where they can find you. Tell them about your amazing Dallas Stars, all that.
Oh, yeah. You can follow me at 1-800-Callabro. Again, when I'm not talking about baseball, I am sweating and stressing over hockey. So follow me along for all the fun stuff, the rest of this Stanley Cup playoff run. And yeah, let's watch some good baseball this weekend. Also, another good series to watch, even though I already talked about it once, Royals, Orioles. Definitely check that out as well.
Yeah, my Orioles World Series pick is looking worse and worse by the day. But that's all we got for y'all today, man. I really appreciate it. We really appreciate everybody tapping in, everybody checking in. Any comments, anything you want to talk about, anything you want to see us talk about, feel free to reach out to us because we do respond, very interactive. A lot of y'all know, based off the other show, it's not just us, harassing Ortiz, but it's really, all of our fans, everybody that shows love. We do interact back and forth. I would love to hear from more people. Just let us know what you want. We got you. Appropriate stuff, of course. But yeah, let us know what you want and we got you. But you can follow me on Twitter at OctoberZoneTay. Don't worry about any other socials. Just follow me there. If you follow me on the other ones, we good to go. As usual, follow the Barbershare Net at Barbershare Co. on Twitter and Instagram. Subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/the Barbershare Network. We have 4 different tiers, 4 very affordable tiers. I think the most expensive tier is $10, bro. Come on, you got 10. You got $10. But 4 different tiers. Shop with us. Come get this great content. Of course, you can get all of your Barbershare merch. We got sweatshirts, we got hats, we got mugs, we got a little bit of everything at the bcnetshop.com. And for all things Barbershare Network, make sure you check us out at bcnet.com. Once again, that's the bcnet.com. Appreciate everybody tapping in. Sid will be back next week after the Kentucky Derby. We talk to you soon.